Hey, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to the latest edition of Weekend Focus here on Champ Sports TV. I am your host, Fari Rachiguni. Thank you very much for joining me. It is an absolute pleasure having you guys join me. Today, I'll be previewing the 10 fixtures in the English Premier League, starting with tonight's fixture at the Brentford Community Stadium, where Brentford welcome Brighton, all the way to the big clash on Sunday, where Liverpool welcome the champions Manchester City in arguably the biggest game of the season so far, and without question, the biggest game of the weekend fixtures. Now, I'll be giving you my thoughts going into these games, as well as my predictions in terms of the scoreline for the 10 games. Now, the first game, like I said, will be tonight, where Brentford, who are in 11th, welcome Brighton, who are in 7th. Both teams will be looking to get back to winning ways. The home side have lost three of their, are winless rather in their three previous games, while the visitors are looking for their first win under new manager Roberto De Zerbi, who took over from the now departed Graham Potter, who is at Chelsea. For Brentford and manager Thomas Frank, an improvement in terms of performance will be required after they basically capitulated against Newcastle last week. Ivan Toney got them back into the game at 2-1. However, they lost. They went on to lose by 5 games to 1, as manager Thomas Frank was unhappy with their performance then. Now, as for the bees, familiar surroundings for them. 7 of their 10 points have come from their games at home. On the other side, however, Brighton will be buoyed by their record against the bees. They have won, their 6 fixtures or rather they've won their past 6 fixtures, in this contest between the two. The only victory for the home side was back in September of 2014, when they won by 3 games to 2. That was when both sides were still in the championship. Now, based on that, I've gone with a Brighton victory, a 2-1 Brighton victory, going into the contest. Now, the second game to look forward to, there are 4 games on Saturday, with the early game which will pit strugglers Leicester City, who are rock bottom rather, who come up against Crystal Palace, who are in 15th position. There is no doubt that there is pressure for Brendan Rodgers, considering that we all assumed that after beating Nottingham Forest by 4 goals to 0 in that Monday night fixture, we had assumed that will be a catalyst for them to get back to winning ways. However, that has not transpired that way, because last week they let a 1 goal lead slip against Bournemouth to lose by 2 goals to 1. So that was obviously a false dawn for the Foxes. A ray of hope in this fixture is that the Foxes have won their last 3 encounters against the very same opponents, including a 2-1 win last season in this corresponding fixture. Now, I've gone surprisingly with a two-all draw in this game, albeit that Leicester have been defensively poor going into the game. I've still gone for a 2-all draw in this game. The next game to highlight would be Fulham, who are in ninth position. They play Bournemouth, or rather they welcome Bournemouth, who are in 8th position. Now, this is a contest that features the top two in last season championship table. Both teams have acquired themselves quite well. Considering where they are in the league table as yet so far. The Cottagers, they come into these fixtures after having lost by 5 games to 1, or 4 goals to 1 against Newcastle, and 3 goals to 1 against West Ham last week. So an improvement is due for them. They are sweating on the injury front. Um, they are sweating on the injury front regarding the injury to star striker Alexander Mitrovic, who has 6 goals so far this season, in the league. As for Bournemouth, once or after they sacked Scott Parker, we all thought it's all going to be downhill. However, the team and Gary O'Neill have done very well. They are currently on a 5-game unbeaten streak, and hence they find themselves in eighth position there. So with that being said, I have gone for a 1-0 draw going into this game. The next game then that I will preview will be Wolves, who are currently in 18th, who welcome 19th place Nottingham Forest. Now this is a game that pits two strugglers in the league. Wolves are currently without a permanent manager after sacking Bruno Lage. This week, throughout the week, we were hearing that they were in consultation, in talks with former Spain national team coach Julian Lopetegui. However, it seems that those talks, fell through because apparently Lopetegui had a few a few commitments back in Spain, family commitments. Hence, that didn't those talks didn't go through. Now, today we've learned that a couple of the representatives of um, Supreme Agent Jorge Mendes have gone to Saudi Arabia to speak to former manager Nuno Espirito Santo, who is coach of Saudi side El Ittihad, and they are looking to bring him back to Molineux. Why they would do that, I do not know, and I'm not quite sure and convinced of that appointment, because they are the ones that let his contract run previously. So clearly there were issues behind the scenes between the club and Nuno Espirito Santo. Now those issues will still surface, if they they welcome him back then. Yeah, so that means Stephen Davis will continue to take charge on an interim basis until that whole event is sorted out in terms of appointing a long-term permanent manager. Now, as for the score going into the game, I have gone surprisingly for a 1-0 draw between the two strugglers. Now, the last game to look forward to on Saturday will pit Tottenham, who are in third, who welcome Everton, who are in 12th. Now, a good week for Everton, after their loss in the North London derby. They recovered quite well to beat Brighton by a goal to nil away, and then they came home in midweek in the Champions League to beat Eintracht Frankfurt by 3 goals to 2. Another good thing is that Tahon Song was back on the scoring sheet, so the Spurs fans and the coach will be hopeful that that is a first, that is that is a continuation, or a start rather, of him scoring and performing at a more consistent level, like the son that we saw last season. Now, a win for Antonio Conte's men will further open the gap to fourth place Chelsea. They currently hold a 4 point lead. Obviously, Chelsea have a game less played so far. So um, other good news, obviously, is the possible return of Dejan Kulusevski. They have Jafet Tanganga, who returns from injury. They have um, I beg your pardon, Lucas Moira, who made an appearance midweek against Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, as for Everton, their 3 game winning streak came to an end when they lost to Man United last week, thanks to Cristiano Ronaldo's 700th club goal. The good news for them, for the Toffees though, is that Dominic Calvert-Lewin made a return in that game. So on that front, it's a welcome return because they've been lacking in goals, the Toffees. With that being said, I've gone for a 2-0 victory for the home side, Tottenham Hotspurs. Then moving on to Sunday, there are four games that all start at the same time. You know, the first game to look forward to on Sunday would will be Leeds, who are currently in 14th, who welcome Arsenal, who are top of the table. Now, as for Leeds, they started the season quite well actually, with 7 points in their opening three fixtures. However, from then on, it's been downhill from there for the side from Yorkshire. So there's a bit of pressure on Jesse Marsh to stop the rot, as it were. Um, the other thing to rather, as for Arsenal, you know, very impressive last week against Liverpool, and I never thought they would win by 3 goals to 2. I had in fact called it 3-2 to Liverpool, but lo and behold, Arsenal went and they played well and deservedly won by 3 goals to 2. Who would have thought that Arsenal after 9 games would be top of the table? After beating North London rivals Spurs and Liverpool. The charge was that Arsenal hadn't played anyone of substance before the North London derby, and they went and won that game as well as beat Liverpool. So clearly, Arsenal are truly in the conversation for a top four finish, and perhaps a title challenge. As for Arsenal, they won by a goal to nil midweek against Norwegian side Bodo Glimt, thanks to a goal by Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, I beg your pardon. So, based on that, I have gone, not surprisingly, with a 2-0 victory for the away side in Yorkshire. Now, the next game to look forward to, it's Southampton, who are 17th. They welcome West Ham, who are in 13th position. There have been stories and rumors that manager Ralph Hasenhuttl is under pressure. I think they have not won in the past 4 games, including that hammering they suffered last week against Man City. But look, we all expected City to win that game, so it would have been unfair to sack the manager after that game, in my view. Now, as for West Ham, new signing Gianluca Scamacca, he's coming on nicely. He scored in the past 2 games as well, including that goal against Wolves last weekend as well. So with that being said, I have gone for a 2-1 away win for West Ham at St Mary's. The next game to look forward to will be Manchester United, who are in fifth, who welcome Newcastle United. Now, the form table pits United in third position behind Man City and Arsenal. After having won 5 of their last 6 games going into tomorrow's fixture. Now, Ten Hag's men, were they had to see off a stubborn Omonia Nicosia this past on Thursday in the Europa League. They ended up winning by a goal to nil, thanks to a stoppage time winner from midfielder Scott McTominay. Now, like I said, United made hard work of that game in midweek. However, outside of Harry Maguire and Anthony Martial, who limped off last week, it is a clean bill of health for the Red Devils. As for Newcastle, look, they started with a stream of draws after their opening day victory. However, a win over Fulham was, as well as a win last week over Brentford, is a welcome return for the Geordies. Um, Eddie Howe has done very well. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes is a crowd favorite up in Tyneside. So I expect a very close, hard-fought game, in Manchester on Sunday. With that being said, I have gone for United to just edge Newcastle by 2 goals to 1. And then following that, or rather, the other game, same time, will pit Aston Villa, who are in 16th, who welcome Chelsea, who are in 4th. Now, look, manager Steven Gerrard is a man under pressure. After that game on Monday against Nottingham Forest, there were boos that could be heard. There are calls for him to be sacked at Villa Park. You know, albeit that they are currently on a four-game unbeaten run, yet there are still calls for him to be sacked. But if you consider that Gerrard has only won 13 of 37 games going into Sunday's fixture, um, it makes sense why he's a man under pressure. As for Chelsea, after that struggle of a game against Salzburg in Graham Potter's opening game in the Champions League, they came back and beat Crystal Palace, coming from a goal behind to win by 2 goals to 1, thanks to Conor Gallagher's strike. They've then gone on further, to win their games, all clean sheets, at over against Wolves, as well as the 2 games in the Champions League against AC Milan. The other good positive thing is that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is on the score sheet again, so that is 3 goals in 5 games for him since he made his debut at Chelsea under the previous manager Thomas Tuchel in that 1-0 defeat in Zagreb. Um, Look, I am expecting nothing but a Chelsea win. I reckon a 2-1 or a 3-1 Chelsea victory in this game. Now, which moves us very nicely to the big game on Sunday, which pits, champions Manchester City, who are away to Liverpool, who have struggled down in 10th place. Look, Liverpool will be buoyed by what they did midweek against Rangers, a 7-1 drubbing of the Scottish Giants. Um, the other thing is that Mo Salah, after he scored a hat trick, the fastest hat trick in what, 6 minutes, 6 odd minutes. So that's a positive sign going into that game. Darwin Nunes scored yet again after his score against Arsenal last week. So Jurgen Klopp will have to decide if he goes into the game with that four-pronged attack of Darwin Nunes, Mohamed Salah, Bobby Firmino, who scored yet again midweek, over and above his goal in that 2-1, in that 3-2 defeat at Arsenal, as well as Diego Jota. So that'll be fascinating to actually see if the manager will have the courage of his conviction to play the four up front with Thiago and Fabinho holding in midfield. Now, as for City, look, the big news, the big clash to look forward to is the clash between Erling Haaland and Virgil van Dijk and/or Konate. Liverpool are out. Let's see if they stop Haaland from scoring, who now has 15 league goals in nine Premier League outings for Manchester City. The other man to look out for is Phil Foden, who has continued to score, and continued to play well. So he's, for some reason, he just seems to score at Anfield when City play them. Now, City obviously drew midweek against FC Copenhagen, so a few guys were rested, including Erling Haaland as well. So it's going to be a fascinating game, Pep will look to dominate the ball with his players, and Liverpool will look to close down all the spaces. Their pressing hasn't been as it was last season or the previous seasons. Maybe fatigue has taken over there. But I reckon it's going to be a fascinating game, a close game, very pulsating game in my view. With that being said, I've gone for City to win by 3 goals to 2 in this game. It wouldn't surprise me with Haaland scoring at least one goal yet again. So, folks, that's me today in at for Weekend Focus. Please hit the like button, send me your comments, hit the like button as well, and send me feedback, man. And for those who have subscribed, thank you for subscribing. Please continue to subscribe on my YouTube channel, Chem Sports TV. All right, folks. Until next time, which will be Monday, where I'll be reflecting on the big game between Liverpool and Man City. Um, you lads have a wonderful, wonderful weekday, and have a wonderful weekend, and enjoy all the games. Till then, cheerio. Bye bye.